Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell here with my co-host Glenn Martin. Glenn, why don't you tell us and all of our viewers what we are doing today in this episode?
Absolutely. So this episode, we are going to be doing a mock draft of the complete first round of the 2020 draft upcoming. So we're just doing the first round, but we're doing every team. We're not just doing the Ravens this time. This time we're talking the entire first round. So Thursday night is coming quickly. And we're going to get you set by what's going to happen. So this is what's going to happen in the draft on Thursday night, okay?
Yeah, you don't even need to watch it.
Yeah, we got it. We got it all figured out. I mean, so we're going to alternate picks, me and Jimbo. So I'll take the odd picks, and you'll take – or no, I'll take even, you'll take odd. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so we flipped a coin, and I got even. So, yeah, that's how we're going to do it. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe before you exit if you do. So, all right, Jimmy, get us kicked off. Who is the Cincinnati Bengals taking with the number one pick?
Yeah, and just really quick, this is an easy one, but I just want to say we're also going to be doing trades and things like that, so it's all inclusive in this draft.
Yeah, this is the whole night, yeah.
We went all out for this thing just for you guys.
Because there's going to be moves. There's always moves in the first round, especially.
So forget a draft simulator. Just watch the show. All right. So with the first pick in the NFL draft of 2020, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to go with their quarterback of the future, Joe Burrow.
Did you say their cute quarterback of the future? Or did you
I was going to say their QB, and then I just said quarterback.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're quarterback.
Quarterback, and I'll have you know you should keep those opinions to yourself.
No. So, yeah, they're taking Joe Burrow. They're going to have their franchise quarterback or what they assume to be their franchise quarterback for the future. That wasn't a very hard one. So let's move on.
No, and this is another one that's not too difficult. A lot of people predicting this pick as well. The Washington Redskins take Chase Young, edge rusher out of Ohio State. I think this is a great pick for them, and I don't even know if the Redskins can screw this one up, but hopefully not for their sake and their fans' sake. But they I don't know if they know they have their quarterback, but I don't think they can take another one this soon. Yeah. I don't think they can give up on him yet. So, and hopefully they have a little bit more. Hopefully they're a little bit. They're being led a little bit better this year than in years past with the acquisition of their head coach, Ron Rivera. So I think they take Chase Young because, look, Ron Rivera is a defensive guy, and this guy is an all-world defensive player.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right, number 3 is where the fireworks start, ladies and gentlemen. The Lions have the pick. They're on the clock, but here come the Dolphins. So
I make a dolphin sound just then.
I was really thinking about it, but that would have looked terrible. But I was honestly considering it. All right, so the Dolphins are going to slide up to the number 3 pick. And in order to do so, they're going to give away, of course, their 5th, their 26th pick, because they have 3 first-round picks. So they're going to give away 2 of the 3, and a second-round pick in the following in the following year.
Okay, 2021 draft. Okay.
Yep. And in order to do, they're going to give all that up, and the Dolphins at number 3, after trading with the Lions, will get their quarterback of the future, Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama, going down to South Beach.
I like that pickup. You know, they got the grizzled vet there that can hold down the fort in case that hip isn't quite ready to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I think he's a good example. You know?
If you had to use the word grizzled and had to match it up with a human, Fitzpatrick is your guy.
No doubt. That guy's beard is epic. And I'm jealous, honestly, because I could never grow a beard that strong.
Well.
So I like that. So Miami gets their quarterback because they're finally out of everyone in the AFC East is finally out of the shadow of the New England Patriots. So hopefully, for their sake, this is the guy that leads them. Okay, so I have the Giants on the clock at pick number 4, and they're taking the most athletic freak I've seen in quite some time in Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. This guy is just an absolute freak of nature, and really he's a game changer on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see if Gettleman screws this up, but if he doesn't, he'll take Isaiah Simmons. Let me just give you some of his measurables, okay? So he's 6'4", 240 pounds with 33.5-inch arms. The guy is big. He's long. He ran a 4.3940, Jimbo, at 6'4", 240. 4.39. I mean, so honestly, he can play almost anywhere on the defensive side of the ball. He's primarily probably going to be put in a linebacker's position, but this guy can play safety. As we heard Hans Pick mention when we had them on a couple weeks ago, he can play corner. This guy is that gifted athletically. He's a freak. He's just a one of a kind. So it's not something that comes around often. And with his rare length, speed, and versatility, I think he's a guaranteed number 4 pick, and the Giants are happy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They got their pick, and if Gettleman screws that up, wow. All right, so number 5, as we mentioned, the Dolphins and Lions switched. Dolphins gave up that 5 pick. So the Lions, who are going to get their guy, and I think be very happy with this pick, the number 1 corner in the draft, Okudah out of Ohio State. Really good player, really clean, polished, does well in press. And so, like I said, he's polished, got a high floor. He's a plug-and-play guy. They lost Darius Slay. Now they're getting a guy who's probably just as good as Slay, if it has potential to be better as he develops, for a lot cheaper. So I think that's a great move for them. So we'll go home with the number 5 pick if I'm the Detroit Lions and take Okudah at Ohio State and move on to the Chargers.
I tell you what, that's interesting. You got 2 top 5 picks coming from Ohio State, and neither one's a quarterback. That's kind of, surprising, both on the defensive side of the ball. So
technically, but Joe Burrow was.
He was, yes, but nobody knew who he was when he was there.
Pretty crazy to think about, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, that they had him. They could have still had him. But you know what? Systems sometimes make a player, and he's probably a heck of a lot more successful in LSU's system than he would have been in Ohio State. All right, so number 6, the Chargers, the big pick for the Chargers. They're opening that new stadium. They're going into a stadium in which I feel like the Rams have all the fans. I don't feel like the Chargers have much of a fan base in LA, and they need to sell tickets to that big, beautiful new stadium. They can say all they want that they believe in Tyrod Taylor. I'm not buying it. I think we know what Tyrod Taylor is, and he's a good backup and a very mediocre starter. So I think they're going to go and grab quarterback Justin Herbert out of Oregon, because I think they think he's their guy. Okay, a lot of people, some people are down on Herbert. They say they don't know how much he loves football. They say I've heard that kind of stuff in the past. But you need a quarterback if you're going to win in this league, and there's no chance that they're going to win with Tyrod Taylor. And let's be honest, this team isn't that far off. This team's got players, man.
Lots of pieces.
I'm not saying Justin Herbert's going to come in and lead them to the chip, but at least you have upside there. He's 6'6", he's 240. The guy's, played in a lot of big games in college. The guy's got, a strong arm, big, talented. I don't know. I like him. A lot of people don't, but I think the Chargers like him enough to take him at number 6 and try and make him their franchise quarterback.
And I think it's a good pick. I think that some people might not like this comparison, but I do think he's comparable to Joe Flacco. His height, size, arm talent, and even his demeanor a little bit. He's not a rah-rah guy. So, and I'll tell you what, I can attest to the fact that the Chargers have no fans in LA.
Yeah.
Having been out there, doesn't look good for them out there. So they need to shake it up, like you said, do what they can do, put some butts in the seat. All right, so let's move on to the number 7 pick, the Carolina Panthers. I think they're going to go with a safe pick here. Coach Rule's first pick as a head coach. He's going to take a D lineman, Derek Brown, out of Auburn, who is, you talked about Isaiah Simmons, obviously an athletic freak. I'm not comparing him. But for a big boy, this guy is an athlete. He can move his feet. He's strong. He's versatile. I think he's a plug-and-play guy. Day one, makes total sense. They have a lot of holes and a lot of things to work on, but I think he is a great value at number 7. They would be ecstatic to get him there.
Yeah, I think he's an absolute beast of a man. And honestly, didn't they just lose? Correct me if I'm wrong, but they hadn't Gerald McCoy last season, and now he went to – was it Dallas? I want to say he went to Dallas.
I think so.
So, there's a gaping hole in the interior of their defense, and this guy is a beast, man. He is athletic. He is powerful. Yeah, he's going to be an anchor on that defensive line for quite some time. So I like that pick. All right, so moving on to Arizona. The Cardinals. Now, I think they found their quarterback. They've got their guy at QB, okay? They pulled off one of the biggest heists in trade history in the offseason when they got Nuck from Houston for a bag of beans and a beat-up running back. A beat-up F-150 and a bag of beans got them a top 3 wideout in the league in DeAndre Hopkins. So most people would think that they're done, right? They're thinking with Christian Kirk, with Christian Kirk and with DeAndre Hopkins, they don't need another. What? Oh, I say nay. I say they're getting Jerry Jeudy at the number 8 pick, and they are surrounding Kyler
Murray.
Kyler Murray with speed, with talent. So yeah, they got Fitzgerald, but he's aging. So yeah, I give it to you. He's probably gonna have a good year because the guy's an athletic, physical specimen who keeps himself in the best possible shape. So he'll be pretty good this year. But let me tell you, they're doubling down, and they're gonna surround Kyler with a little bit more talent, and they're taking Jerry Jeudy at number 8. Now everyone's saying they want a tackle, they want an offensive tackle. I'm gonna show you. They're gonna take Jerry Jeudy at number 8.
Ooh, you're going out on a limb, my man.
And look, he's the consensus best receiver, right? I mean, most people say. The guy's incredible. So I think they're going to do it. I think Kingsbury is going to pull the trigger and surprise everyone by being the first to take Jeudy despite that trade in the offseason. So who you got? Who you got at number 9?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Jags are a little more risk averse. They've been burnt in the past, and they've shown some tendencies to go and build inside out and have some old school tendencies. I think that they are going to try and stink it up this year, as you and I discussed, for Trevor Lawrence in the next year's draft. So they're going to get a guy with some great talent, but that won't, necessarily have a quantifiable difference, I guess is the way that you can say it. I think the highest ceiling tackle in the draft out of Louisville, Mekhi.
I think it's Mekhi.
Mekhi?
I thought it's Mekhi.
You're right. Why would it be Mekhi? Mekhi Becton.
That's a good point.
Out of Louisville. The kid is an athlete. I mean, he's big. He's strong. He's a mountain of a man, and he can move his feet. He's got some ways to go. He's not – I wouldn't say that he's the most polished in the draft, but I would absolutely say that he's clear-cut, highest ceiling, best prospect as far as an offensive tackle, very dominant, very strong, and tenacious. So they get their left tackle for the next 10, 12 years, hope that he's not Eugene Monroe 2.0, and move on.
Okay. All right. I'm not mad about that. I think you need to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that needs a lot. They are clearly in rebuild mode. And why not build, in these moments when you're pretty far away from winning, maybe build from the trenches and kind of establish that. And
let me say this really quick before you move on. Glenn, you and I both, with this pick and with the Jags pick and the Browns pick, as we were building out this draft, we both really considered teams maybe jumping to get in front of the teams at 11 and 12, the Jets and Raiders, as the wide receivers start to come off the board. So that was something we definitely considered. But we, at the end of the day, we decided that most likely they're going to stay pat, at least as far as the Jags go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of spots that are interesting for trades, especially since I shocked everyone by taking Jerry Jeudy at number 8. But I think that's gonna change a lot of things up. But it's interesting. You have to look at Arizona as different from the rest of the league and the sets that they run and how many receivers they keep on the field at once. And that's why I think they take Jeudy. So yeah, I think that mixes it up. That changes it. So at number 10, I have the Cleveland Browns. They picked up the tight end. They gave him all that money out of Atlanta. They threw a big monster contract at Jack Conklin out of Tennessee, which I think was really smart. They're building around Baker Mayfield because they've invested so much in him. They cannot afford for him to fail. They just can't do it. I mean, goodness, has anyone put more weapons around a young quarterback in history than what the Browns have done? When you look at Beckham and Landry and now
and
Hooper
Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is just – and then Hooper now is the highest paid tight end in the league. They got Conklin. So I think they double down and they make sure that they protect their young quarterback, and they grab Tristan Wirfs who's a tackle out of Iowa. This guy, I mean, just what you'd want from a tackle. Just a 6'5", 320. He's got the 34-inch arm, so it's kind of you need long arms if you're going to play tackle in the NFL. And he's just I don't know. I just think he's a perfect fit for them. He's a great pass blocker, which is what you're going to need on that left side. I think he fits what they need. They need to protect Baker because he gets them happy feet and he starts throwing the ball to the wrong team. And they cannot, not with that run team, not with that. They're just too good. They're just too good to not take advantage of their talent. And I think you need an offensive line. I think they grab Wirfs out of.
Yeah, and I'll say the difference between the two is that Wirfs, I think, is the more finished product at this point, right? As what I mean by the two is him and Becton out of Louisville. And like you said, because they're in more that win now mode, while Jacksonville is in that rebuild mode. I think both picks make sense.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I mean, I guess we just don't know when tackles come out if they're going to move inside or not. But I don't know. I just think that they need to address the offensive line big time, and they did it in a way with Conklin. Obviously, he's a great player too, but I think they need to double down and really look to protect Baker. So that's why they grab him. So who do you got at 11 going for the Jets?
All right. The Jets are taking the second best, what I consider to be the second best wide receiver off the board. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. They are sparse in the cabinet of wide receivers, looking like my cabinets and right now as far as food goes based on the lockdown. So, for sure, CeeDee Lamb, great receiver. I think he's really polished, good route runner. Would have been great to see him in Baltimore, but of course, I think it was just a dream. And I think he's going to fill in that need for Robbie Anderson, who went to Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
and, so. He becomes their number one receiver right away, gets their young quarterback some help, and the Jets go home happy. So what do you think the Raiders are doing with their first of two picks in the first round? The Raiders are picking at 12.
Yeah, I know this is not your Al Davis Raiders, and they're led by Gruden and Mayock, but I think they go a familiar route in the first round that we've seen the old Raiders take, and they see speed, and they can't pass it up, and they go Henry Ruggs, wide receiver out of Alabama. This guy is an absolute flamethrower. I mean, 4.27 at the combine, 4.27. Are you kidding me?
I don't think I could run 10 yards in 4.27.
I mean, he's 5'11", 190, not the biggest guy, but you just can't coach speed. You just can't teach it. He's just an explosive, and he's not just a guy that, a lot of people say, well, is he John Ross? Is he a guy that's just speed, just that track speed? Or no, this guy can run routes. This guy's got sure hands. This guy can play the wide receiver position on top of the 4.27 speed. The guy, I just think he's a weapon that whoever gets him is going to be very happy, and he's just a guy you got to account for. He's a guy you got as a DC. You can't fall asleep on this guy because he'll run by you, kind of like Hollywood. He reminds me of. So I'm going to go with Henry Ruggs is going to Vegas.
What do you think his chances are of being an absolute bust, like a Tavon Austin or a Ross?
See, the reason I didn't like Tavon Austin is a lot of his yards. If you looked at their offense back then at West Virginia, were like shovel passes.
Yeah.
So and that's why it inflated Geno Smith's numbers as well. They both had inflated numbers. You get him the ball in space, and he was so much more athletic than everyone around him that he just made everybody. I don't think is why he didn't translate necessarily to the NFL. This guy can run routes. This guy can create separation. He's more than just speed and wiggle in the open field. I don't know. I feel like he's a much more polished receiver than Tavon Austin was.
All right, fair enough. So lower bust potential there for sure. All right, ding, 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 ding. The 49ers on the board, but they are trading out.
Okay.
We got to trade, ladies and gentlemen. We know that the Minnesota Vikings locked up their quarterback for the foreseeable future. Kubiak is now the OC full-time, and I think that Kirk Cousins is going to benefit greatly from that. But with that being said, Kubiak makes no-name running backs lots of money. He's got a really good running back, so he needs a good offensive line to go with that. So they're going to get aggressive here because they have two picks in the first round. So they're going to trade up from 25 to 13. Excuse me.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Hold
Excuse
on.
me. 22 to 13. Sorry.
22.
20,
Okay.
22 to 13. And what they're going to do is they're going to give up their 58th pick in the second round because the Niners don't have a second rounder. And they're going to give up their 105th in the third. So it's going to be a win-win, going to be opportunity for the Niners to gain some depth in the draft and acquire more players. But the Vikings are going to pick up Jedrick Wills Jr., offensive tackle out of Alabama, who, if you read his description, it says insanely athletic, great in run scheme. So in run blocking. So with that being said, in Gary Kubiak's system, we know here in Baltimore that they need to be able to move, right?
No doubt.
So they get a chance to get up there and get a top 3 tackle, what I consider to be a top 3 tackle in the draft. And I think it turns out really well for them. So Jedrick Wills Jr. out of Alabama, offensive tackle, Minnesota Vikings at 13.
Yeah, I think one thing that I look at when I see him that really stands out is athletic for his size. And we know that in Kubiak's offense, you got to be able to move them feet if you're going to play on the offensive line. Because he's going to get you pulling as a tackle. I mean, he'll pull you as a tackle, no problem. So I don't know. I like that pick. I like athleticism if you're going to play offensive line for that offense. So I think that's a great pick. All right, so now we are moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 14. Now, I think we all remember what the Bucs just did. Okay, the Bucs went and got themselves a quarterback. Okay, and they didn't just get a quarterback; they got the greatest quarterback of all time. And I'm not a Patriots fan, but you just can't deny the numbers. I mean, the guy's incredible.
They stole him right from the geriatric center.
Oh, okay, hater. But let me just say this: they don't need help at receiver. That's for darn sure. So I look at the two positions. The two spots on offense that they need to help Tom Brady. And that's running back and offensive line. Now, I think if they go running back here, it's a little early, a little premature. I think you can find a running back later in the draft. So to me, they got to go offensive line. So I like going Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. Okay, he's an offensive tackle. He's, of course, a big guy, as they all are when they play on the offensive line. He's played in the SEC. He's played in big-time games. This guy's played in playoff games, the what's it called? The college football playoff. Okay, this guy's 6'5", 315. But listen to this. This is the number that gets me excited. 36 and an 1/8 inch arm. The guy's got the longest arms I can remember in quite some time. 36 arms. That's insane. Okay, so I think he's just a dancing bear. The guy is, I don't know. I just think he's played both tackle spots. I think you give him a shot certainly at left, and then you see what happens. He's very competitive, which we know Tom Brady's going to demand out of his offensive line. We've seen him get up in the faces of his offensive line in New England, and I don't think he's scared to do that here. So you got to be able to handle that. And this guy's competitive. So I think that offensive tackle is a big pickup for Tampa and moves them that much closer to getting to that Super Bowl that they all are hoping for down in Tampa.
All right, I like the pick, and I hope he's terrible.
Yeah, I know. I hope they stink.
Yeah. So, all right.
He's won enough.
Seriously. Number 15, the Denver Broncos lost Chris Harris Jr., probably the best slot corner in the NFL in a lot of people's opinions. Maybe.
Where'd he go?
Oh, shoot. Where did he go?
Am I bogging you down? It's okay. I'll look it up while you go ahead.
But he did leave. That is confirmed. And so they did pick up AJ, the corner out of the Jags. I never say his last name right. Boye or something like that. So
AJ Boye? Yeah.
Yeah, so they have one corner, but they need another corner, and I think that's exactly where they're going with the second best corner in the draft. CJ Henderson out of Florida, real athlete. Also likes to get his hands on receivers as far as his bio goes. I think he's going to fit perfectly on the other side, and they feel like they found their quarterback. So, they've got to button up that defense. They've got pass rush. They've got to keep that secondary strong and hope that they get some receivers in a receiver deep draft. So I think that if they're not going offensive line, this is the best value pick they can get. CJ Henderson out of Florida, cornerback.
Okay, I like that. Absolutely. I mean, John Elway's used to having good, strong corners over in
Yep.
Denver, so I'm sure he's been a little bit uneasy as of late when he's seeing Talib go and he's seeing Harris go. I think you're right. So,
Yep.
all right, good pickup. So now we have number 16, Atlanta Falcons. Now, one thing that Atlanta is desperate for, for one, they need some good luck because, my goodness, have they been banged up injury-wise over these
Yeah.
last couple seasons? Kind of makes you feel bad for them. Especially after the worst debacle in Super Bowl history that I'm still not over, and only because I was rooting for them because I didn't want the Patriots to win. But anyway, moving on. Here's where I think they're going to go. I think they're going to up the pass rush a little bit,
Okay.
and I think they're going to go Clavon Chason, if I'm pronouncing that
Yep,
right,
you got it.
out of LSU. This guy is a heck of a player. Let me tell you about this guy. Not only is he a heck of a pass rusher already and already comes with moves and counter moves already into his game, but he also wore the number 18 jersey, which is only given to high character leaders on the team in LSU. So you can't just throw on that 18 jersey. You got to earn it. That's that I like. For me, I mean, I like good, high-quality character guys, and I think he would fit in right. He's 6'3", 255. The guy's fast. I don't think he ran at the combine, so we don't have any numbers on him. But
Right.
the guy's got that spin move that we're used to seeing Dwight Freeney master for all them years in Indy. He can dip his shoulder. He can get down low. He can beat the tackle with speed. He's strong. I mean, he pretty much can do it all. So I really like Clavon Chason. I think he's the second best edge in the draft behind, well, unless you consider Simmons. I don't know. He can do pretty much anything. But I'd say he's behind Chase Young. And I think they go Clavon Chason, number 16, to Atlanta.
All right. I like that pick for them as well. Of course, Beasley ended up flaming out and not being much of a factor.
Where'd he went somewhere else.
1-year deal somewhere. I can't remember where it was either. I'm blanking right now. But let's see. So we're on to the Dallas Cowboys, your former favorite team.
Yes, before the Ravens were the Ravens, yes.
Right.
That was my first favorite team.
So the Cowboys, they aren't going to do anything special here. We know that they need secondary help, so that's what they're going to do. I think since Jerry Jones – Stephen Jones is his name, right? His son? Yeah. Since he's taken over, the draft has become less about fireworks and more about intelligence and fit and need and value, which is good. But
they just lost Byron Jones.
Yeah, they just lost Byron Jones, so I think they're going to go out and get another a teammate of Chason and Christian Fulton, LSU corner. He's for a corner at least. I mean, he's 6'1", but he's almost 200 pounds, so he's a thick, quick twitch type corner, short area explosion, very aggressive and physical at the point of attack, and he's effective as a two-hand jam and press corner. He's known for being tough and hard-nosed. And the one thing that I really like that you need in a corner is that they say that he doesn't allow mishaps to get to him. He has a short memory, and he's confident even after getting beat. So I think it's important for a young guy to be able to step in and take on that role that they're going to need help with. He's not going to be phased in. He's going to be thrown in there, baptism by fire. So he's going to have to be plenty confident. So Christian Fulton at LSU cornerback for 17 to the Cowboys.
Okay. All right. I'm not mad about that. I like that. I mean, they needed a corner. There's no doubt. They need a lot of secondary help, so they could have gone anywhere, but I like Fulton. And what I find interesting about this pick here, number 18 to Miami, is that I just noticed we went back-to-back LSU Tigers, and we're going back to LSU for a third consecutive pick when the Miami Dolphins take Grant Delpit, safety, out of LSU.
Wow, we are the Lakers right now, back to back to back.
Yeah, and you know what? And let's be honest, LSU, they can pop out some safeties.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you because I think he's going to join this list. They got Jamal Adams last year, LaRon Landry a few years back, Tyrann Mathieu, Eric Reed. This guy's just another in the list. I mean, of course, Patrick Peterson came out, as a corner probably a decade ago or more. Now I guess we're getting a little older. But this guy is incredible. Delpit can do a lot of everything. The guy can play. I saw him up again on the line of scrimmage. But more importantly, what he can do the most is the guy can play the deep third. The guy can play center field. He can run with the receivers. He's got incredible range and length. I like Delpit. I've been a Delpit guy. I watched a lot of LSU. I think we all did because of their run. They were on TV constantly, and rightfully so. And this guy is just impressive. I mean, he played through a bum ankle for most of 19. So 18 looks a little bit more consistent, but the guy can play center field, and there's just not a lot of guys out there that can do that. And I think that Miami needs help in the secondary, especially because they just lost that safety Jones, who was there for years. He was a multi-time Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
Blanking on his first name, but
he was. They also let go of Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Minka. Yeah, losing Minka. Well, they traded him. Yeah. to the Steelers. But yeah, so they're desperate at safety, and I think they fixed their safety issues with Grant Delpit.
Yeah, the one thing that I found to be really interesting about him is that not only is he, like you said, play the deep third, center field, come line of scrimmage, they also put him in the slot at times for in coverage and put him on.
He can cover. He can flat out cover.
I mean, what can't this guy do? I agree with you. Well-rounded player. I think it's a good move. And we are on to the
haters.
Oh, it never gets old. And I'll never try that. All right, so the Raiders bring out the fireworks, baby. They're going to Las Vegas. They've been looking for a replacement for Derek Carr forever. John Gruden loves his athletic, high-potential quarterbacks. I've seen this guy play. Some people are insane and make this comparison to Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to do that. But I will say this. This kid easily, in my opinion, has the highest ceiling of all the quarterbacks in this draft. I'm not saying easily. He's also got a low floor. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But when it comes to arm talent mixed with athletic ability and plays that jump off the screen at you, it's this kid, Jordan Love, number 19, to your Las Vegas Raiders out of Utah State, quarterback. That's where they're going.
Wow.
I don't think John Gruden passes on this kid twice. He passed him at 12. He's not doing it again.
Well, I don't think if he passes him again, then he's not going to be there when he gets to pick. So,
right.
Man, that would be interesting, man, because then that adds to the – I mean, I guess they could consider sitting him.
Oh, they'll sit him. Or
they can move Carr. If he's too impressive, they can move Carr.
Yep.
Okay, interesting. I like that. A lot of people are thinking Love will get down further in the draft, but I like it. Okay. All right, so now we have number 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. Yep. Now, we spoke earlier about the Jaguars. They need a lot, okay? You took a left tackle for them earlier in the draft is what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So they need a ton. They're building for the future, and I think this guy is a perfect perfect building block for that future, and that is defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. He's 6'5", 325 pounds with almost 35-inch long arms. So the guy is big, strong. He's got length. I mean, the guy is just a beast. So let me just go over a couple more of his. I mean, this is the kind of guy you want coming off the bus to start. If you're going a road game, this is who you want leading your team off the bus because he's just put together. The guy is huge. He's got heavy, violent hands. He's just going to punch you, but still has lateral quickness despite the fact that he's just so gigantic. I think he can be versatile in the interior. I think he can play a little bit of end in the 3-4. He could play nose. He could do a lot just because he's athletic despite his massive size and strength. So I like Kinlaw going to Jacksonville to be kind of a cornerstone in the middle of their defense.
All right, nice.
All right.
Well, the next pick is to the Philadelphia Eagles at 21, and Glenn, I'm going to break your heart here. All right. So the Eagles on the board.
Don't do it, Jimmy.
What's up?
Don't do it.
No, well, I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. So the Eagles are taking with the 21st pick in the NFL draft, Kenneth Murray, inside linebacker out of Oklahoma. And I have been Patrick Queen all the way until I did a little more digging on Kenneth Murray. I think what what's really important in this draft is going with something that is closest to a sure thing as possible. With the lack of one-on-one time and in-person time with these players, you need to make sure that you hit with your pick. The last time the Eagles took a linebacker in the first round was 1979. It's time to break the trend, Eagles.
Dang.
Someone to anchor your defense. He is a great high-character guy. An offensive coordinator for an opposing team in the NFC East said that while he is an offensive guy and he's very positive they're not going after Kenneth Murray, they're not going to be able to get him. He is he was his favorite interview at the Combine.
Wow.
Because of his character and who he is as a person and a leader. So Kenneth Murray, and that's not even including
that devastates me.
Not even including his athletic ability. Now, I don't agree. I mean, I do agree that there's potential that I know that you want this. The Ravens could trade up and move in there, but we don't have that in our board because I just don't see us picking up, giving up some picks. So the Eagles are going to stand pat 21. Kenneth Murray, inside linebacker, Oklahoma.
Man, that would hurt my feelings, but I completely understand. I think he's that good of a player. I think he would fit with the Ravens, but he would also fit with the Eagles. So, all right, I'll have to move on. Okay, so now we have the Niners on the clock at 22 because they traded back from 13 with the Vikings. So, with the Niners on the clock at 22, I think the one hole that's pretty glaring on their offense is going to be wide receiver. They traded for Emmanuel Sanders, who, of course, since went to New Orleans in the offseason. So they're really left with a fairly empty cupboard outside of Deebo Samuel. Of course, George Kittle is a heck of a receiver, but he's a tight end by position, and he's a heck of a blocking tight end as well as a receiver. So it's not like he's always out. But he's out often in routes. But I'm going to go receiver here, and I think that it would really help that offense. You got to have someone opposite Deebo Samuel, and I think they go back to LSU. I'm taking a lot of LSU Tigers. I've noticed. I mean, I took Burrow, right? Didn't I?
I took Burrow.
All right.
But you roll with the winners, right?
Huh?
You roll with the winners.
Yeah, I mean, look, you win the national championship, you get a lot of eyes on you, and Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU, I think would fit with them perfectly.
You know what I like about him in tandem with Deebo is that Deebo is a gamer. So is this kid. This kid showed up the biggest when the lights were the brightest.
Yeah.
I mean, he balled out in that championship game, and I totally agree. I think it's a great pick for them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I mean, he's not necessarily a Ruggs burner, but he's fast enough. He ran a low 4.40. But more so, what he does is he gains separation with his route running, which is all that really matters. If you can separate, no matter how you do it, that's what matters most. But to me, he's a guy that has incredible ball skills. He can fight for those contested catches. He's good off the snap. He's good at fighting out of the press. I think that the guy would fit them perfectly. And it's a need of theirs that they're desperate at. I don't know how they go into this season with just Deebo Samuel at receiver and feel comfortable. So I think they go and grab Justin Jefferson from LSU.
No, I agree with you. I think that's a great pick. The one thing I'll mention, just so you guys remember, we traded. So that was the 49ers at 22 who traded with the Vikings. That's why we have them down at 22.
I started my talk with that. Okay, Jimbo, were you not listening?
I was listening, but just to recap.
Okay, all right.
So 23, the New England Patriots are picking, and I'm gonna break your heart again, my man. I think that Bill Belichick is an old school guy, and middle linebacker still has value in his eyes. And that he had Van Noy left, Collins left, and then had one other guy that left. It's a relatively thin position group for them, and I think he's gonna want to lock that down, check it off his list. Patrick Queen, who I now think is the second best inside linebacker. I think Kenneth Murray is the best. So he will be there at 23. We'll get some calls, but I don't think he'll get what he wants. He'll stay there. Get Patrick Queen from LSU, another Tiger coming off the board at inside linebacker, and check that one off his list. A couple of things about old Patrick Queen here. Just to give you guys an idea, he's 6'1", 227. Some of his highlights as far as physical traits is he has great quickness, sideline to sideline, and reaction. time is also a highlight of his athletic ability. He fits in a lot of different schemes. He's very versatile, and he chases sideline to sideline really well. So, yeah, I think he's a good, safe pick. Check it off the list for the Patriots, and we'll see what they do at quarterback. But for now, we're going to move on to 24 to the New Orleans Saints. Who you got? They're on the clock.
Yeah, so I'm going back-to-back wide receiver with my picks. So I have the New Orleans Saints filling a need with wide receiver from Arizona State, Brandon Ayuk. And now people might say, well, wait a minute. They got maybe the best receiver in the league, and then they just went and signed Emmanuel Sanders, and they still have Jared Cook over there. Yeah, that's true. They have all that. But look, this is the Saints we're talking about, for one. And for two, do you have much confidence that Emmanuel Sanders can make it at this point in his career a whole season? I don't think he can make it a whole season.
Right. No, I'm with you. I agree with you. And you need an insurance policy. And aside from that, if you're talking about longevity, I mean, you need someone next to Michael Thomas. Yeah,
absolutely. And the guy, you just can't play man against him. I mean, the guy, I don't know. To me, he's a good route runner. He's a big guy. I mean, he's 6 foot tall, 205 pounds. He ran a 4.5 40, so he's not a burner, but he just knows how to separate, which is what you need. But I think what's good about him is he has just natural hands, just great natural hands, which is something we see out of Michael Thomas every day. When I don't know if anyone's ever had a better catch percentage in NFL history than Michael Thomas. And, of course, it helps when Drew Brees is throwing the ball to your entire career, when maybe nobody throws a more catchable ball and maybe not a more accurate ball. But this guy just reminds me of him in that way, in the sense it just doesn't seem like the ball, he doesn't drop the ball very often. And he's a great route runner. Two things that Michael Thomas excels at, and I think he fits what they're looking for. And, man, that offense will be scary when you add him into the bunch. Whoo! It's a terrifying offense. So I like Brandon Ayuk going to the New Orleans Saints.
No. So I like that pick for them as well. I think that's a great move, because they're in win now mode. So 25, the second pick that the Vikings have in the first round. I think that who do I have here, Glenn? What's the name of this guy?
A.J. Terrell.
Oh, yeah, A.J. Terrell. Okay, I couldn't read my own handwriting.
You're a chicken scratch, I bet.
So I do like A.J. Terrell, though, out of Clemson, played in big games, corner. Okay, so the reason that I like this kid is he's a physical player. The Vikings have lost both of their corners, Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes. And like I said, I mean, this kid is a big corner, over 6 foot. And he sticks to receivers at the line. I think that's really important in today's NFL, and he shows a lot of versatility. But more than anything, the ability to press as a young corner, because the other stuff he can develop. But as long as he can press and build off of that, I think he is going to be fine. And they have a hole there. Obviously, they lost both their starting corners, so I think it's a great pick for them. He's played a big program in some big games and showed out. So Vikings go with A.J. Terrell, corner out of Clemson.
Okay, I like that pick. I think who'd you have him grabbing earlier? Wills.
They went with the offensive lineman and now the corner.
Okay, I like that.
They're
pick.
Loaded.
Yeah, they're going to be a scary team, no doubt. All right, so with the 26th pick, we have Detroit here because they traded back with Miami out of the number 3 spot and picked up. This is the second pick they picked up. So we have Detroit on the clock at 26. And I think we had them early on. We had them taking Okudah, the cornerback. And I think what highlights a cornerback's skills even more and elevates those skills more than a pass rush, okay? So I like them going to Iowa to grab defensive end A.J. Epinesa. This guy he's a beast. He's 6'5", almost 280 pounds with 34.5-inch arm length. The guy is an absolute production machine. He can play 3-4 or 4-3 because of his size and explosiveness and his length. I think the guy is an incredible player. I think he would fit. Let me see. He had 11.5 sacks last year, 14.5 tackles for loss. So The guy can set the edge. He can rush the passer. There's really not a whole lot this guy can't do. I think he is a steal this late in the draft, and Detroit would be thrilled to grab A.J. Epinesa at 26.
Wow, I like that pick for them. Yeah, the guy's just a bear, has really strong hands. That's what Hans Pick talked about. They're really impressed by his strong hands. So I think that's a great one for them if he gets that far. All right, 27.
Break your own heart. Break your own heart, Jimbo. That's right.
I deserve it.
Yep.
No, the Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to preface my statement by saying this. For shorter quarterbacks, the interior offensive line, I think, is that much more important. It's already important. But for guys like Baker, Russell Wilson, and Drew Brees, things like that, those passing lanes need to be opened up. And they're going to get their center for the next decade in the NFL who is tenacious from wire to wire, as I've said before, who I really want to be a Raven. They are taking Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan Wolverine. And I hate that I had to make that pick.
I love it.
But, yeah, he's going to Seattle. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, I've described him in a couple different episodes, but Cesar Ruiz is only 20 years old. He's really come into his own late in the year, or late in, as his career has progressed. He's really young, but not just a raw prospect. The kid can play guard and center, be the anchor of your line.
See where they end up putting him.
Yeah, that will be interesting. But more than anything, he's got that tenacity and got the strength and the ability to move his feet. 3 huge things you need for a guard or a center. So I think it's a great pick for them, an absolute steal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that team wants to run the ball, okay? And, oh, my goodness, Cesar Ruiz.
Can't believe you made me do that.
Cesar Ruiz is terrifying if he's firing off the ball and hitting you in your mouth. That's he's going to help their run attack, no doubt.
It's a good thing that we're in separate rooms right now, buddy.
You know what I like most about this is both our previous mocks, we had to change it up because he's gone, okay? Both our guys are gone, so I like that. All right, so number 28 for the Baltimore Ravens, our Baltimore Ravens.
That's right.
We had to go off script a little here because we both had different positions mocked here that are now gone. And really what it came down to was we needed to add more explosiveness and more weapons to this offense, okay? And that's what the Ravens are going to do. They're going to go to Baylor, okay? And they're going to grab wide receiver Denzel Mims, who is one of the most intriguing and maybe the most exciting prospects in the entire draft because of a couple things. For one, he's got almost 34-inch long arms. He's 6'3", 207. So he's a big guy. But let me tell you something. He ran a 4.38 40 at that size.
Man.
I mean, the guy is an absolute burner. Anytime he touches the ball, he's gone. He has the rare combination of height, weight, speed, and catch radius that you just don't see come around that often. So, to me, he's got a couple things he's got to work on. He's got to work on his release from the line of scrimmage against press, which when you're 6'3", I don't think once he gets the NFL coaching, I don't think that's something unbelievable that he couldn't get to. I think that working off the press is something he could do and get better at. But, man, if he can improve that and then increase his route running skills a little bit, this guy can be one of the most terrifying players. When you put him opposite Hollywood Brown and then you think about Mark Andrews just eating it up over the middle, and even throw in like a Willie Snead underneath trying to catch those balls out of the slot. That's a scary offense. And then, of course, Lamar is just running around the backfield making you think he might run.
Yeah.
I like the guy. I love a big catch radius guy that combines not just that, but the speed to come along with it because I think that's where the NFL is moving. Speed at all your skill positions. And we already got it with Hollywood, and I think we get it again with Denzel Mims, and they got him.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. As much as it was hard for me to see Cesar Ruiz go, that pick made me really happy. The one thing I'll say about this guy, too, is that production is the word to me. Like, he wasn't a guy that just produced 1 year or is a prospect. The kid turned up numbers in college, and that means a lot to the Ravens. So I think that's a solid pick. All right.
Yeah, I mean, hold on. Before you say – I'm glad you mentioned that because he had 12 touchdowns in 14 starts last year.
Jeez.
Then he had 12 touchdowns in I'm sorry, 8 touchdowns in 10 starts the year before that. So the guy gets in the end zone,
Yeah.
and we like production, and he went over 1,000 last year as well. So go ahead.
Yeah, so to the Titans, we talked about Jack Conklin moving on from the Titans, going to the Browns. So the Titans clearly have an opening at right tackle, and this kid is young, so I think it's great for him to start at right tackle. And if something happens later, of course they have Lawan, but if something happens later, he could develop into that left tackle guy because he played left tackle at USC. Austin Jackson out of USC is a mountain of a man, 6'6", 330 pounds. He's young, but he's athletic, long, can really build onto that frame, and use his length and athleticism, keep guys in front of him. And I think you can stick him in at right tackle right away. And he can be on the field as a starter day one and fill in for Jack Conklin. So I like that pick for them. Austin Jackson, tackle at a USC.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's a team that wants to run the ball. They want to impose their will on the defense, and you need a good, strong offensive line to do so, and let Derrick Henry be the star that he has become. Really, since college, winning the Heisman. So I like that pick. I think that's a good pick. All right, so moving on, we have the Green Bay Packers on the clock at pick number 30. And I think they finally go and get some help on the offensive side of the ball opposite why am I blanking on
Devontae
Adams. Yeah.
Adams.
They finally get some help opposite Adams, and they grab T. Higgins, wide receiver out of Clemson. He's 6'4", 216 pounds. Over 34-inch long arms, big guy. I mean, played in, as you mentioned with the previous Clemson talk, played in the biggest games that you could at college. I mean, you don't get any bigger than what Clemson's been the last few years. The good thing about him is he's very versatile. He can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. He's done all three in college. So he's a heck of a. He can attack the ball. He can high point the ball, which makes him a terrifying threat in the red zone. I think that the guy's big in big games. He attacks. I like him to go opposite Adams and maybe extend Aaron Rodgers' playing career a little bit longer if he can stick around, because some people are already predicting that Aaron Rodgers is petering off and going toward, because he doesn't love football. I'm hearing all that. I'll tell you what, you got this guy and Adams, it's going to make you want to stick around a little bit longer because, I think the ceiling is really high for T. Higgins, and I think they grab him at 30.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's a great pick for them. At 31, the Niners, with their actual first round, their first round pick, are going to fulfill a need for them at free safety with Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. You want to talk about an athlete? This kid is an athlete. I love the description in the very first sentence in a bio that I was reading of him. It said both twitchy and explosive, can make things happen. I love that. The other thing I love is that they talked about how he puts every ounce of power and everything he has behind his shoulder pads every time he hits the ball carrier. So I think him being in that defensive back room with a guy like Sherman learning, the Niners were already a great pass defense team, but adding an athlete like McKinney, I think that they would go home super happy at the end of the first round if this kid gets there and is still available for them. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, really can make things happen, like it said in the bio, and is also a great blitzer on top of that. So I think it's a surefire win for them and a great pick. So at 31, the Niners are taking McKinley, safety out of Alabama.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. They need help in the secondary. That front seven is set, and it's fierce, and it's terrifying. And if they can add some playmaking on the back end with Sherman, look, I mean, it's crazy to say because he keeps getting older and he's not getting any faster, but he just keeps getting it done. I mean,
yeah.
Look at his numbers at the end of the year. He's graded out as a top corner almost every single year, and this year, again, he was graded out to be phenomenal. I think adding some help behind him would be a good move. All right, so moving on, we have the last pick in the first round, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And I think they go get the pass rush they were hoping they got when they picked up Terrell Suggs at the end of the season. And they go to Penn State and they grab Yetur Gross-Matos, edge defender out of Penn State. He's 6'5", 266 pounds at just under 35-inch arm length. And, I mean, man, this guy is impressive to look at. This guy is built very well. Just prototype size and athleticism and agility. The guy can – I mean, he's just so explosive and fast. He's got a frame that needs to put on some more muscle, but he's got plenty of a frame to put it on. You know what I mean? He's got the length. He's got the short area athleticism that can work around the tackles on the outside. I think that he could be a terrifying pass rusher. For the Kansas City Chiefs, there's going to be a lot of games where they're going to be ahead, and you're going to need to throw the ball against them. So if you got this guy coming off the edge, it could be a little scary for opposing quarterbacks. So I like Gross-Matos to the Chiefs at 32.
All right, now what we want to do since our first round is done is get your guys' feedback. Grill us, applaud us, let us know whatever you think. But look, at the end of the day, just know this is what's going to happen. So deal with it or don't deal with it.
Yeah, look, I'm not thrilled. I mean, I'm not mad about getting Denzel Mims at all, okay? But it's clearly against what I've been predicting. So, obviously, I'm not as thrilled as I would be with some other guy. But, man, the upside of Mims, it could be good. But anyway, hey, let me just say this. If you're going to comment and tell us we're idiots, okay, that's fine. Tell us we're idiots. But tell us why we're idiots. Tell us what we did wrong and who you would have picked in that place, okay? Don't just say you're idiots.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Let us know what you guys think. Give us your guys' mock for the first round. Grade us out. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll be sure to respond as much as we can. So make sure to also subscribe if you're commenting, and hit that like button, and then hit that bell so that way you guys can be notified every time these videos come out, and we'll keep pumping them out as long as you guys keep watching.
See you.